Hello, everybody. My name is Josh, your Movie Apprentice, and today we are talking spoilers of The Batman that has now been out an entire week. And the general consensus seems to be a lot of people are really digging this movie, like I predicted, and I, of course, enjoyed it as well. You want to see my spoiler-free thoughts? Check up there, and you can see for yourself. But from this point onwards, we are talking full major spoilers. Now, start off with. Like I said in my review, I really enjoy that Batman has these moments where he really messes up. We very much dive into the idea of a new Batman, a fresh Batman, one that doesn't know everything and is not by any means an expert. One of my favorite moments has to be when he's escaping from the GCPD and jumps off the building with his glider. And if you watch any Batman movie, you know he's going to land on that vehicle and be fine. But the movie pulls the rug out from under you and has him completely mess up that landing and take quite a heavy hit. Even when he's fighting a lot of goons with shotguns, he is still very much useless when it comes to taking everyone out at once, and he does get winded a few times and even has to be saved a couple of times. I enjoyed that it was mostly a Batman story and not a Bruce Wayne story. He is still very much in that mindset of just pure vengeance. He doesn't care about the image of Bruce Wayne. He doesn't really care about the people of Gotham. He just thinks he can punch enough criminals so that Gotham will suddenly become good again. He is very driven by his grief and anger at the fate of his parents. Speaking of his parents, I like the fact that Thomas and Martha Wayne aren't absolute saints in this. It is heavily implied that Thomas commissioned the murder of a journalist that was about to expose Martha's backstory as being admitted to a psych ward. And she's part of the Arkham family as well, which is something I don't believe has been part of the comics, but do feel free to let me know in the comments if I'm completely wrong about that. But I love that idea that Thomas Wayne is just another rich businessman trying to protect his interests and trying to silence journalists that want to expose them. Now, we get two sides of the story, and what one is true, we don't know, and I don't think we need to know. I like the fact that Bruce has to choose what side to truly believe. I feel like we should have got a bit more of Andy Serkis and Bruce Wayne together, because at one point, spoiler alert, well, we are talking spoilers, Andy Serkis's Alfred nearly gets killed by a bomb planted by the Riddler, which does lead into one of my flaws with the movie is the fact that the Riddler has a hands-on approach to taking out these people. He kills the mayor with his own hands. He kills the chief of police with his own hands. He kills an informant with his own hands. He is very much hands-on with taking out these people. When it comes to trying to kill off Bruce Wayne, he devotes it to a bomb in a parcel. Now, why he doesn't go hands-on with Bruce Wayne is a bit of a hole, but I like to think it ties in with probably my favorite scene of the whole movie, the Batman and Riddler interrogation scene. Now, this film goes very much down a Seven route where the villain basically lets himself be caught, and it gives us this interrogation scene. And during this scene, the Riddler starts to go on a bit of a monologue about Bruce Wayne and how people pitied him, but he would never know what it truly felt like to be an orphan. And the way the Riddler talks about this, it implies that he might know that Batman is Bruce Wayne. There is a moment where Batman looks at a camera that clearly has a mic attached to it, so they know what is being said. But then the Riddler sidetracks and says, "Well, we didn't get Bruce Wayne, did we?" Now, I can read that in two ways. I'm curious to know what people think about this scene. Does the Riddler know Bruce Wayne is the Batman, which could well explain why he had the bomb thing rather than trying to do the hands-on approach, because he figured out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, so he knows he couldn't take him out himself? Or is he Joker-esque in the fact that he doesn't really care who Batman is under that mask? There is literally a line of dialogue where he says, "I can see who you truly are from that mask. People want to see who's behind the mask, but they don't know that the real you is staring right at me right now." I don't know if him saying that we didn't get Bruce Wayne is his way of covering Batman so that the legend of the Batman could live on. It's sort of a double thing. I think that he doesn't know, But I do like to theorize that maybe he does know, but he just doesn't really care and would rather no one else knows either, because that would ruin the fun and the mystique of the Batman. Catwoman is bisexual, and quite frankly, about time, because she just has always radiated that sort of energy. I love that she gets pulled into this by the fact that she happens to be dating someone that ended up getting tangled up in this, and she's still very much all about the money. I think one of my favorite little moments with her is she takes a moment to knock a guy down, just steal the money bag before running away, even though there's guns all around her. And her chemistry with the Batman was a bit mixed, in my opinion. I did enjoy the way she would monologue at Bruce, and Batman would just look at her. There's a lot of staring coming from Robert Pattinson's performance, but it works very well for what we are given. Bruce Wayne as a character is very much an oddball, and he's not quite lent into the persona of Bruce Wayne yet, but that will be coming in the sequels, I believe. But Zoe Kravitz, like I say, did a fantastic little job as Catwoman. Though I had to say, Falcone was great. The whole scene where he talks about Thomas Wayne with Bruce Wayne is a big highlight for me. And quite frankly, Colin Farrell is freaking brilliant as the Penguin. The bit where he gives bloody Jim Gordon and the Batman a lesson on Spanish is just one of the film's few funny moments, but it's not one of those intentionally funny moments. It's very much that's his personality coming through. That is a British bluntness coming through, and that's where half the British humour comes through, is just the bluntness of it. The Riddler's plan was really interesting. I love the fact that he has this little following. Now, there is a bit of an oddball moment where they act like 500 followers is a lot. And to be fair, on the dark net, it could well be that. I feel like the film had to do this thing where they had to establish he had connected with enough crazy people that would be convinced to go and do what he wants them to do, but they didn't want to make it seem too unrealistic, like everyone in the town is a secret murdering psychopath. But I do love that moment where it feels like the Batman is about to lose. Like, Gotham does get flooded as per the Riddler's plan. The Riddler wants Gotham to be wiped clean, washed clean of all its sin. That's his overall goal. And the way that Paul Dano plays it is absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed where his character went. I can't wait to see where he goes next. I'm a little disappointed there was a Joker cameo, because, quite frankly, I enjoyed the fact that I was given these lesser known villains that have had more of a dark comedic role in previous films. I loved Jim Gordon's little dynamic with the Batman, how he's the only one that trusts him, and how the Bat Signal is not on the top of the GCPD in this. It is very much an abandoned building that Jim Gordon's put the signal up there. Speaking of the signal, though, I enjoy the fact that the signal of the Batman is just there, and the fact that he just walks out of the shadows. And there's some great shots where he's just walking out of the darkness and you hear him before you see him. I like the idea that his legend is that he comes out of the shadows, and when the signal is in the sky, that means he's out and about. So the criminals, even though they are still doing their criminal things, when they take a moment to look at the symbol, they just sort of, there's that fear about them. This is the closest a comic book film has ever come to horror in my eyes, and as a big horror fan myself, I fucking loved it. And there were a lot of Let Me In vibes coming from this. It's the same cinematographer that did Let Me In, but there is a whole sequence with the car crash where the camera's in the backseat of the car and you're seeing it rotate. That's straight from Let Me In. There's a moment where a guy gets in the car and the Riddler sits up behind him with that creepy mask of his and then chokes him, and it cuts to outside the car. That is something that's directly from Let Me In, and some of the out of focus shots and the deep breathing of the Riddler. That was something very Let Me In-esque. So I'm loving I incorporated them horror elements from his previous works into this movie. That I thought was really well done. But yeah, the Batman was just really good, in my opinion. I've still got to watch that and the Dark Knight back to back to see which one I prefer. I'll say it's definitely over Dark Knight Rises for me, but I'm torn whereabouts in the top three it lands for me. If I want to do a ranking, I will let you know. You want to see me do a ranking of all of the live action Batman films, let me know in the comments. But yeah, the Batman was just quite a ride. The Nirvana song is going to be stuck in my head for a long time, and I'm just thankful that this film gave us Detective Batman. It really showed us the vulnerabilities of Batman, how much he sacrificed just on this course of vengeance. The cherry on top was the fact that his whole quest for vengeance created the scenario where the Riddler and his followers could exist. That scene where he unmasks the guy that he nearly kills and he refers to himself as Vengeance, and Batman grabbed onto that wire and cutting it. Now, my friend was a bit annoyed thinking it was playing off for that, oh, Batman's dead here. But I read that as Batman was cutting the live wire cord of his vengeance on Gotham and letting himself fall into water to be cleansed of all this hate and vengeance in order to save and help the people of Gotham and very much become the symbol of Batman. That's how I saw it, and the shot of him leading people across the water with that flare is going to be up there in a lot of Batman montages for years to come. So yeah, the Batman, let me know what your favourite part of it. Who was your favourite character? Who are you looking forward to seeing in the next movie? Apparently Matt Reeves said he wants to tackle Mr. Freeze in the next movie, which I'm really hoping he does, because it's going to be nice to see the Arnold Schwarzenegger palette of that get cleansed. But yeah, everybody, coming up on the channel, I will be reviewing Seeing Red over the weekend. And until next time, make sure you are subscribed, click the like button, and until next time, my name is Josh, I have been your Movie Apprentice, I'll see you all in the next one.